right, this is our third take because my son keeps getting the correct answer too quickly and not letting me prompt him. But this video is designed to show you how to prompt your child to get the correct response. So a prompt is a little bit of an extra piece of information to help a child get the correct response or the correct answer after an instruction. So first you deliver an instruction, and you can see that the child is not responding very quickly, and so you give a little bit extra to help the child select the correct response. Prompts can be given verbally, so you rephrase it, or you might start your question again to refresh their memory of what you said. Verbal prompts typically are often overused, so you want to be very careful that you don't give too many verbal prompts. You can use a gestural prompt where you might just give a proximal count point, something that is close to the answer, or you can do a distal prompt where you're pointing from far away. You can use a physical prompt where you guide a child's arm to the correct response. All right, so usually you push just gently behind the elbow and maybe support the wrist as they go to their selection response. And you can use a positional prompt where you might move the correct response to a position that's closer to the child. You might use a positional prompt if a child has a tendency to swipe the materials off the table, and if they're going to swipe and they can only reach so far, that item that's closer to them is going to be the answer that they're more likely to select because that's within their swiping reach. So we'll show you some different prompts. Can you point to the answer that is 6? It starts with 12. Very good. So that's a verbal prompt, right? I was just giving him a little bit more information so he could get the correct response. So now I'm going to show you an example of a gestural prompt, which is just basically a point. You can also consider this modeling because I'm modeling how to select the correct answer. Point to the answer that is 2. There you go. Nice job. Point to the card that the answer is 3. You know what? There aren't any that are 3. That was so good. That was just called your mommy didn't put out a good one. That was good. No responding. All right. Point to the answer that has the answer of 5. Okay, that's 5. But I'm trying to show how to use a physical prompt, so you've got to let me use your elbow.
You tricked me.
No, please. Let me move your elbow.
You tricked me with the wrong answer.
I know, I did. But you outsmarted me. So it's all fine. Point to the answer 6. There you go. Nice job. Point to the answer 1. There you go. This one was the positional prompt, one that's closer to you. So you can use lots of different varieties of prompts, and when you use a prompt, You want to make sure that you try to fade it as quickly as you can. So if the child does not need to be touched behind the elbow to guide their arm to the correct response, then you can stop using that. You can just maybe do a slight touch and back away. Or if the child is starting to answer more fluently, then you obviously want to fade back on those prompts. A good way to fade is what we call a delay to prompt. So basically, in your head, you start to count longer and longer periods in between your instruction when you expect them to respond. So at first, when you're prompting, you might wait for 2 seconds and then you prompt the correct answer. And when you introduce that delay to prompt, you start to think 2, 2.5, and then prompt if they have not started to respond yet. Or you might say 2, 2.5, 3, and then, so you continue to increase that delay between your instruction and when you start to prompt. So at first it was 2 seconds, then maybe you make it 2.5, and then you make it 3 seconds, and you're basically seeing if the child will respond without your prompt before you have to prompt them. And that is a good way to fade your prompt from the instruction. So again, prompts are used as just a little bit extra to help the child make the correct response or make the correct selection. It's done after an instruction, but before the response, and you start to fade it as soon as you can. As soon as you start to see the student initiate a response or a selection on their own without the prompt, then you want to start to fade it. And a good way to get to that fade is to increase the time delay between your instruction and when you give the prompt. And that is how you use prompting. Bye-bye.